Time to do this all again. We are moving all of this to a new home. Just gonna rip it out. Where's my spade? Okay, so there's one thing that I need to get out of the way before we talk about moving house. Fab Dan, or Fab Dan C. I think your name might be Dan, but I don't want to make assumptions. A lot of people make assumptions about my name because it's uncommon and I hate it. So I'm going to call you Fab Dan. Fab Dan, for a while now you've been encouraging me to try seed sowing. So I finally got some seed packets and I grew this nasturtium from seed. Not this nasturtium, this one is seedlings. This one is seed. This is the first thing I've ever grown from seed. I was preparing to do a whole video on it, like I was documenting all of the stages of growth. There was more stuff that I was gonna have to add to the video to make it like a full video. But now that we're moving house, I'm not gonna be able to finish it because we just need to get on with moving house. I also planted California poppy seeds. According to the seed packets, they were supposed to flower at the same time as the nasturtium, but they haven't. Anyway, I'm quite proud that I grew this from seed, and I hope I've done you proud too, Fab Dan. Okay, back to moving house. So we've been sitting on this news for a couple of months now. Maybe you haven't noticed, but I haven't been able to do anything new with the raised beds for a minute, and this is why. Those of you who've been following since our last move, you'll remember that we only moved 10 months ago. We haven't even finished out our 12-month lease on this place yet. So back in September, it's December now, back in September, our rental agent called us up and let us know that the owner was selling the property. We were really disappointed with this because prior to signing our lease, we had asked the real estate agent whether the owner was looking for long-term tenants. That was what we were looking for. We didn't want to move in 12 months' time. They ignored the question. We've developed a real distrust of rental agents over the last 2 properties that we've been at. Can't wait to work with a sales agent though. They're going to be our best friends. But like rental agents, we are good tenants. We're great tenants. But the last couple of rental agents we've had to deal with have either been really horrible and tried to milk us of every last dollar, or they've been really unreliable and unresponsive. We asked at the very first inspection whether the owner was looking for a long-term tenant. They weren't able to give us an answer at the time. We followed up with emails and text messages, and we just got radio silence on that front. Like, I think agencies and landlords should be clear about that up front. Are you looking for a 6-month lease, a 12-month lease, or a long-term lease? We went ahead with applying for this place, especially given that we only had 30 days notice to vacate the apartment. Back then, like a whole 10 months ago, the law only required a 30-day notice for a tenant to vacate a rental property. And I had work commitments that couldn't be rescheduled the final weekend of that notice period, so we actually only had 3 weeks to find a place and move out. Now the laws have changed. Landlords and agents need to give tenants 3 months notice to vacate a property. That is if you have a fixed lease, thank God. It turns out that the agents knew that the owner was wanting to sell this place prior to us signing the lease. So they knew, and they just didn't tell us. The sales agent let it slip during a conversation that we had with him. So yeah, this place was sold back in October, and everything was finalized by early November. The good news is that our lease takes precedent over anything the new owners want to do. So if we wanted to stay right up until the end of our lease, we could. That being a couple of months away at the end of January, if we wanted to. However, because the previous owner sold the property during our tenancy, there's no penalty if we want to break the lease early. So if we find another place before our lease expires, we can just leave. It's the only case in New South Wales where renters can't be penalised for breaking a lease early. We wanted to give ourselves as much time as possible to find a place, knowing that we only had 3 weeks last time. Like, that was awful. So this time round, we just wanted to give ourselves as much time as possible to find the right place. We really wanted the next place we move into to be our forever home, like a property that we buy, but buying is just not an option for us right now. So yes, we have to rent again. We are working towards a forever home, but the cost of living in Sydney and blah, 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 it's just not feasible right now. One day, not today, not tomorrow, but we can see it in the nearish to midterm future. Anyway, we went to a few house inspections. A lot of them were like a mix of a really good house but not so great garden, or a really great garden but a terrible house. With a lot of rental properties, you just need to make sure that the garden is going to be workable. There were definitely instances where I asked the agent, so what can we do with the garden? They were like, you're not allowed to touch this or this or this part. You can do this part, but you can't really do anything with this part. Again, that's not going to happen when we have a forever home, but we're just going to have to be patient. There was this one place that really stood out to me, and I say me because I think Tim still has his reservations about this house, and I do too, like rightly so. We put in an application for this place and it got accepted, but it is a bit of a gamble. So we do have a place. We have a new house. If you've been following me since my apartment days, the apartment that we lived in is in the same suburb. It's in the same area as this next place of ours, which I love. Like, I have missed that suburb so much. Even though it's a few suburbs closer to the city, the house itself feels more like you're embedded in nature. There's beautiful parklands around, there's a river close by. Like, I really missed taking regular walks near that river. So I'm excited to be moving back to this neighborhood. But we're not moving back to an apartment, we're moving to a house. Like, we can't move back into an apartment with all of these plants. The house itself, it's old. Like, it is old. Maybe even a little bit falling apart. When we were doing the inspection, I was like, oh my God. Like, okay, firstly, the tenants were still living there, and it's always awkward to do an inspection when the tenants are still living there. And the house was a mess. Like, wow. Wow. Before we walked into the house, the agents actually said to us, just a heads up, the house is in a state. However, I have a really good ability to see through the crap and see the potential, the end game. And I could see the potential of this place. There's something about it that feels quite cottagey. Like, it feels very country house for a Sydney property. Like, it's not on a big block of land or anything. Like, there's still neighbors around, but there's, I don't know, it just feels very country house. But yeah, that does mean that there's some history there. There's probably going to be a couple of house projects, and who doesn't love a project? Could possibly mean that I start dabbling in a little bit of DIY, interior design, fixer-upper territory. I mean, it's still a rental, so obviously I'm not going to be able to renovate a kitchen, and the garden will always be the main thing, but there's definitely the possibility for some house content as well. Okay, the garden. I love the garden. I really love the garden. The back garden and the front garden are both really great. The front garden has a lot of tropical / subtropical plants in it currently, and I think I might keep it like that. I mean, it's not really a style that I work in, but I'd love to learn more about it, and I'm excited to do something different. The back garden will of course be like this kind of stuff here, so don't worry, I'm not switching things up too much. I can show you a little bit of footage, but I also want to do a proper tour of the house and garden when we move in. The back garden does have a lot of trees surrounding it, so there's a lot more shade, or like dappled shade at least. A lot of people will think of shade as a problem, whereas I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, especially since we know now how stressed a lot of the cacti get in this garden here. I have to show you this gymnocalycium got absolutely hammered on those 2 40-degree days. We left it in the sun. It usually sits in the sun, and it just got hammered. It is growing some flowers though. I don't know. Yeah, I might just leave it alone and see what it does. Oh, I also wanted to update you on the Mirtillo cactus that was getting really sun stressed. It had yellow spots. We moved it to the shade. Well, not the shade. It gets morning sun, but then afternoon shade. And the yellow spots have actually faded a little bit. I don't think it's going to return to its original blue color, but it is looking much better. Anyway, yes, tall trees, I don't think it's such a huge problem. I could see that there were pockets of the garden that were still getting drenched with sun, so you know, we're just going to have to work with those areas like any other garden. I feel like there's more planting potential at the new place than there is at this place. I mean, I had to make a decision on intuition and gut feeling because we were only able to see the place for about 15 minutes before putting in an application. So, you know, I wasn't able to track the sun for a whole day or see what the soil was like. But my gut feeling is that I'm going to be able to do a lot more in the ground, and that's really exciting for the designer in me. So I'm going to spend the next week digging everything up. Everything in the courtyard, that's the majority of our plants. They're still in pots, so they're just going to go straight into the truck. The lattices that we've put up, they'll come with us too, as will the lattices along this fence here. These raised beds behind me, they were all empty when we moved in, so I feel like they can be empty when we leave. At the very least, we're taking all of our cactus specimens with us. They're coming with us. And I think that I've said before that I'm taking every plant with us, but you know what? I think I might leave some behind. Like, I think I might leave the French lavender behind, only because I have the new pot of English lavender that I really want to try out, and I think the English lavender might fit in more with my aesthetic than the French. Maybe. Anyway, I'm gonna give it a go. French lavender is not hard to come by, so, you know, if I decide to return back to it, I can pick up a pot again. Same as the rhodanthes, the paper daisies, I might leave those in there, and there's actually another plant that I got from work that I think is a little bit more what I wanted, like visually. So I'm gonna give that a go in the new place. We're gonna have to get rid of all the weeds in the pavement as well, so that's gonna be a big job this week. Ow! And I also wanted to show you that I got 2 new plants for my birthday this week. This is a Eucalyptus pulverulenta. People use this for cut flowers, so I'm excited to put this in the new place. This type of eucalyptus is endemic to my state, so I kind of love that I'll have it in the garden. And this one is a really weird acacia. It looks like a fire sticks, doesn't it? But it's not. It's an acacia apophylla, acacia apophylla, so it's a native, otherwise known as leafless rockwattle. Hopefully you can see this tag. This is what it looks like when it's mature. How strange is that? It's so cool. So yeah, some new things to try out in the new place. I wanted to do one last look around, but it is getting so hot right now. We are definitely entering the summer months. I'm gonna head inside soon because I'm starting to really sweat. It's only 10:30 in the morning and it's like, look, I've loved being here. I think I'm really excited for the next place because there's going to be more that I can do, but I really did love being here. I learned so much. It was my first time planting in the ground and being able to mix perennials and natives with cacti and succulents. I learned so much. Thank you, garden. So the next couple of videos are going to be moving house videos. I'm going to document the whole move and I'm going to try and do a better job than my last moving vlog. Now that I know what to expect, I can probably plan the filming of it a little better. So I'll see you in the next video when we're going to be moving everything. Welcome to my new home. All right, so this is the arbor. This is this beautiful little shady spot in the garden. Could this be a little Aeonian room in the summer? I don't know. This is the courtyard. I don't really know where everything's gonna go just yet. My dad told me that this is a mango tree, which is awesome. We get to eat fresh mangoes. We have another series of garden beds here. There's 3 of them, 1, 2, 3. I imagine that once upon a time, these were veggie patches. I don't know if I want to use them for veggie patches. Do I want to grow food? Do I want to be that gardener? I'm not too sure. What if this came down here? Ooh. I just want to show you behind Mount Suck, that's Mount Suck, we put these 2 wooden lattice just up along this wall. How good does this look? Like it immediately warmthens up the space. We're gonna add this. I've forgotten the name of this, but it's going in the ground. We're also gonna add this. How happy am I to be able to plant cactus in the ground? Woo! Don't fall over. This is endemic to Australia, so I'm getting into the native plants. Hey, that looks really good. Oh, that is so pretty. Wow. Stop doing that. This is an Opuntia Burbank. Ah, wow. I got this Bougainvillea Hawaiian Gold from Facebook Marketplace. I really wanted something yellow to climb up this trellis here. Yes, we did recently buy 3 agave blue glows. Do I know where they're gonna go? No, not yet. I have no particular vision for this right now, so I'm doing this all on the fly. I mean, hopefully I can leave as much of this intact as possible, but who knows where the wind will take us. Australian natives that I am putting in my garden today. I'm thinking that the grevillea should go here. Ah, yay! And I'm thinking that the kangaroo paw should go here. It's kind of like peeking in between. Oh, that looks good. Good morning. I think this is my absolute most favorite time to be out in the garden.